Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another episode of The Cycle. Hopefully you just checked out our first video, Rounding the Bases, where we talked all about Ryan Wormley's corrupt league that he invited me to, and we determined that it is very corrupt and I should quit it this offseason. Maybe we discussed other things. But we also talked about whether or not some certain players are real or not real, whether some players are broken, and we did a bullpen check-in. And in this video, we're gonna talk about waivers to pick up in your leagues, and then also pitchers that you should be streaming for the upcoming week. Kelly, does that sound good to you?
Anything sounds better than listening to you and Worm talk. So, argue with each other.
Well, as a lucky surprise, here's Worm. We're bringing him back in.
Yeah, exactly.
Worm, how are you doing? Just kidding. He's not here.
Nope.
Okay. So let's dive in first with Waiver Central. And up first, I'll let you go with your hitter. I almost said the name by accident. Still getting used to the host stuff. Almost said the name, but I didn't. So I'll toss it to you to tell us about your favorite waiver wire hitter this week.
Well, and I think it depends on how active your league has been, because if you have a smart league, he's on waivers. If you don't, somebody may have drafted him and just has him. So Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has found something. In the last week, his powers kind of come back a little bit. He hit a couple of homers the other day, but what I really like about him for the upcoming week is that he has 7 games. 3 of them are at Texas, and then the next 4 are at Colorado. And Colorado's got a couple of lefties, and I'm like, just give me all of him against lefties going forward. So he is my top waiver pick.
I like it. Let's circle all the way back to the league Worm and I were talking about. I actually rostered him in that league, in that keeper/dynasty format. So I'm very happy to see him picking it back up, because I could use the outfield help as I try to fight for the playoffs. Why don't you you wrote another name in here, and he's also been very hot. Why don't you mention him real quick too?
Yeah, I mean, my backup player for this was Daulton Varsho, and I think I'm going to say this probably 5 or 6 times on this particular segment of the cycle, that I want whatever I can get out of the Blue Jays lineup right now. If they're regularly in the Blue Jays lineup, just give them to me. I will go with that. Varsho can be hot. He's definitely streaky, but right now is a hot streak. Pick him up. Yeah,
and they're putting up 20 spots like they're back in Dunedin right now. I keep looking at those numbers. I just want to bet the over every time, regardless of who's pitching. I can get down with that. Definitely, I always talk about this time of year. Waivers are, I'm looking short term. Like, if someone's hot right now, give me a week or two, and then in a week or two, I'll have, I'll figure out my next move. I'm not always trying to find someone to compete for the rest of the season, unless it's Luke Keaschall. In which case, I am ready to roster him for the rest of the season. But he's back. Really good numbers in the minor leagues and a lot of speed. And so he's my waiver wire pickup for the year. He's pretty widely available. I didn't write the numbers down because I just didn't. But when I looked it up, he was very widely available. And, this is a guy who, I'm very bad at math, but it looks like in 2024, he stole 46 bases. And in the number of games, I can't do the math as quickly. But that's the main thing here, is you're going to get speed. And he also, in 102 games, I may have actually combined numbers by accident. He stole 23 bases. I was actually adding them all together. But he has speed. And so he stole 23 bases in 102 games. I was actually adding AA, single A, and the total and doubling it, which is how I got from 23 to 46. So only stole 23, but still 23 steals in 102 games. And he also had 15 home runs, so there's a little bit of power there too. Oh, and he batted over 300. And so, we mentioned how the Twins got rid of everyone in our previous video, and now Luke Keaschall is back and has a spot in the lineup. And over the last 2 days, he's been hitting 5th. And so if he can give me a little bit of power and also hit in the middle of the lineup, it's not a great lineup, but as you mentioned in our previous video, they are doing pretty well. I can get down with Luke Keaschall, and I moved him pretty high up in my second base rankings. He's inside, I want to say he's 17 right now. What do you think about Luke Keaschall?
Well, I wrote him down as a deep league target, and you crossed him off and put him here.
No
so
Luke
yeah,
Keaschall disrespect on this show, calling him a deep league target. He's a regular league target.
Yeah, same thing. Basically, I like where he's batting. The lineup, still I mean, they all know each other. They all just shifted over from St. Paul. So they've got some, team chemistry, but I think he is solid. I always like, that he's hit a ton of doubles. So, and I feel like when you're hitting a lot of doubles, like you either have the speed or that power is there, and you're just lift it just a little bit higher. You got it. So
it's
either
funny
way,
you say that because I also do that a lot. I'm like, wow, this guy's awesome. And I'm like, 8 doubles. I'm gonna need more than that, pal.
Like it's definitely a thing. But no, I'm totally with you. Pick him up everywhere.
All right, what about your favorite pitcher?
Oh, well, this was messy. Looking at this, I was like, what on earth? So you just got done listening to us argue about Cade Horton in the last video, but he is also probably my favorite pitcher to pick up right now, just because, again, until those numbers adjust, he plays for a team that can score a lot of runs. I don't know what they're doing right now, but and so I think he's got a nice matchup next week, but of course I didn't write it down.
He has one nice matchup. The other one is not good.
Right. So in a weekly league, a little different, but I still think he should be picked up pretty much everywhere at this point. And then my backup was just Logan Henderson. And this is the opposite of the Toronto lineup where I'm like, just give me every Brewer pitcher. If they're there, like I'll take them and let them figure out how they're going to go on my team. So.
Yeah, I actually, not to keep circling back to that corrupt dynasty league that I'm in with Worm, but I roster Logan Henderson there as well. I've actually, like I said, I've got very lucky in that league, but also there's rules about rookies and like rostering them. Like you have to, as part of your X number of keepers, a certain number of them have to be, I think it's like 4 have to be rookies. And I got pretty lucky drafting, it was a salary cap draft, drafting rookies, but they all keep graduating. And I'm like, hey, I need some rookies to keep heading into next year. But I had like Cam Smith and Chase Burns and all these players that are coming up and playing. And I'm like, all right, let's keep some of these guys in the minors. So I have some guys to keep for next year. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Logan Henderson. And as I previously mentioned, I do like a Cade Horton. But the first thing I did when looking for my 2-star pitcher was, go through the list. And he's currently slotted in to face the Blue Jays in his first start next week, which I don't want any part of. Second start is against the Pirates. So if you're in a daily league, very easy. Pick them up. Don't start them against the Blue Jays. Start them against the Pirates. If you're in a weekly league, may the odds be ever in your favor if you start them against those Blue Jays right now.
And if you're in a weekly league, get in a daily league. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I like that too.
It's more fun to make changes. But yeah, no, I'm not suggesting him as a 2-star. I just like him going forward. So I'll take him.
Yeah, my favorite pitcher this week, and like you, I kind of struggled. Normally, I kind of go through the 2-star pitchers, and especially in the second half of the year, a lot of times my favorite waiver wire pitcher is going to be someone who's making 2 starts. I didn't love the matchups this week, kind of going through everything. I did land on one who I have lukewarm feelings about, who's been pitching much better lately and has 2 pretty good matchups this week, although we keep talking about how the Twins are doing much better. But I'm going with Will Warren, who, like I said, he's been much better lately. And this week he has 2 starts. First start is against the Twins. The second start is at the Cardinals. So 2 not terrible matchups. He's pretty widely available. He's rostered in less than 40% of Yahoo leagues. And like I said, he's been pitching better of late. But he has been very up and down this year. So there is some risk there. What do you think about Will Warren? Will Warren.
I think that, yeah, his home road splits are probably the most extreme that I've seen. And so at home, yeah, no problem. But I'm not really afraid of the Cardinals lineup either. So I'd be willing to risk it.
Yeah. And then for deep league targets, we originally had Luke Keaschall. I crossed him out because he was my regular waiver wire pickup. And then we have Joey Cantillo, who you added, Nathan Lukes, who you mentioned is batting leadoff for the Toronto Blue Jays. I added Samuel Basallo because it looks like he might be called up soon. And a decent hitter. We'll see how he adjusts to the major league level, as we've been talking about all season. But a very, very good catching prospect for the Orioles. And if you can get a good hitter with catcher eligibility, that would be lovely. And then Cade Cavalli, who I have some concerns about, but he is a potential 2-step for this week. Unfortunately, it's at the Royals, which is not terrible, and then versus the Phillies, which is terrible. Actually, no. Yeah, no, it is the Phillies. I originally looked at Mitchell Parker, who is a two-step, who I would not recommend starting in any scenario. But Cade Cavalli is also getting the Phillies, but probably not a start you want to start him against. Any additional notes about our deep league targets?
Yeah, I only Joey Cantillo is the option of I need a bunch of strikeouts because I think he's facing the Braves and they love to strike out. That's one of their favorite things to do.
Oh, yeah.
You're just gonna have to eat that whip, and I mean he is going to cost you on the whip. So he's kind of one of those like see how the week is going and then throw him in if you're doing okay and you need some counting stats.
Struggling with lineup decisions? Our lineup assistant recommends optimal lineup suggestions to maximize your team's performance each day of the week. Just sync your league for tailored guidance based on your roster and league settings. Download Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app or visit fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook to set your winning lineup today. And now we'll move over to pitching streamers and our two-start pitcher competition. And why don't I toss it over to you? And for this segment, we often lean pretty heavily on the Fantasy Pros streamer tool, which is very cool, that you can kind of see the best streamers for each day of the week based on your league. And we normally, in this segment, we go day by day, and Worm gives his feedback. And so this time, you were so kind as to add the streamers. Normally, I have to add them. And so why don't you give it a shot and run us through your streamers for this upcoming week?
All right, so on Monday, I have Chris Paddack, who had a great first start with the Tigers, and he gets to face the White Sox next. I think I looked up his numbers this year against the White Sox when he was with the Twins. They weren't terrible. Again, the White Sox, in my opinion, have gotten better. They seem to be hitting more home runs, but the Tigers are obviously still the better team, so I feel like you could pick up some nice stats and probably a win there. On Tuesday was kind of ugly, so I went Nestor Cortes. He's had a terrible 2 starts in San Diego, but I think that against the Giants at San Francisco, which is like very pitcher friendly, I don't see a problem. The San Francisco's slashing 211, 277, 340 against lefties. So, and I've read some things today that just talk about like how they look like they're just kind of checked out. So if you can get a checked out team against Nestor Cortes, you should probably give it a shot. On Wednesday,
that's the Rafael Devers effect, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. That attitude just spread everywhere. But Wednesday was also kind of messy, and I know we've been talking about Minnesota batting better, but I don't mind. It's Cam Schlittler, which I promised myself I would. I promised myself that I would say that as slowly as possible. And he gets Minnesota at home. So, I don't know how this team is going to do against the Yankees in New York. So I would be willing to roll with that one. Thursday I said just sit this one out. I don't know if Edward Cabrera is available in your league. He has a matchup at Cleveland, and that's I could consider that one. And then the only other one that was even kind of there was Charlie Morton at Minnesota, but that's just yuck. So I would skip streaming on Thursday. Friday, I go back to the Joey Cantillo that I talked about before with Atlanta. The strikeouts, the whip. By Friday, you'll kind of have a better idea where you are in those categories. So that's a decent look. Saturday, is Bello really only 30% rostered? That's what it said.
I've been saying that every week. I don't
amazing.
understand it. He's more rostered in CBS.
So he gets Miami.
Not good.
Yeah. So he's against Miami. I would have no problem streaming him in that situation. Otherwise, Ryne Nelson, who's got actually pretty serviceable numbers, he gets Colorado. Mm-hmm. So, and that leads right into Sunday. And let me tell you, the starters on Sunday that I found looked real ugly, but apparently Anthony I can't even do it today. DeScalafani.
Just call him Disco.
Okay. Well, he's apparently back, and he gets to start in Colorado as well. It feels a little risky, but starting against Colorado has been a pretty fruitful experience this year, so that's where I would go for that one.
Yeah, I would say the one I like, and I don't want to interrupt you in the beginning, but on Saturday you mentioned Ryne Nelson against Colorado. I agree. Ryne Nelson has also been good. Ryne Nelson also has the Rangers on Monday, and so if it's weekly, you can do 2 Ryne Nelsons for the price of 1, and 2 pretty good matchups. Both of them are top 5 in our recommended hitter batter team, whatever you want to call it, engine. So I think my favorite one would be Ryan Nelson. I also agree Chris Paddack. I like, we talked a little bit about the Tigers pitching program when we were talking about Jack Flaherty in our previous video. And it is intriguing to see what they can do with Chris Paddack. I will say I happen to see, because I'm a betting degenerate now, and I'm in the weeds of some of these stats, the White Sox are just not striking out right now. And so that's something to have in mind. If you really, really need strikeouts, it's something they have not been doing a ton of recently, like the fewest in baseball in like the last month or something. But yeah. All right. Any other mentions that I wanted to bring up? I'm talking to myself. No, I think you did a good job. The Ryan Nelson was the one that really stuck out to me, but I was like, ooh, 2 Ryan Nelsons. That could be good. DeScalafani, I would probably just have that as a stay away.
Yep.
I don't know. I have gotten down with DeScalafani in the past. I'm probably not doing it this week though. All right, let's move over to our 2-star pitcher competition, which Worm and I go head to head every week. We pick a 2-star pitcher, and we see who they're facing and how many points they get. And now I feel like we have to call everything into question because Worm traditionally has used the scoring from this corrupt league that we're a part of together. And now I don't even know if we could use this scoring anymore. But for the season, Worm is currently winning 7-6-1. We had one tie, possibly 2 ties. But 2 weeks ago, so like it's kind of like delayed because you pick a pitcher, you pick your 2-star pitchers for the upcoming week. But then when we meet next week, those pitchers haven't made their second start yet. So we're always like a week and a half to 2 weeks behind. So in our 16th week of the competition, I'm going to have to let you be the judge on this one because it's really close. One of the closest we've ever had. So I had Christopher Sanchez, and in the ESPN points league I'm in, he got 34 points. And Worm had Dylan Cease, and he had 33.5 points in that league. So a difference of 0.5 points. If I can pull up the scoring for Worm's Corrupt League, it's actually different. So that one had me winning by half a point. Worm's Corrupt League has Dylan Cease winning by like 2 points. So he had Dylan Cease 25.3 and Christopher Sanchez 22.4. So what's that, like just under 3 points? And so the stats I'll mention here. Christopher Sanchez, much better stat line, I would argue. 14 and 2/3 innings, 12 hits allowed, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, 101 record, and one of those was a quality start. Dylan Cease, only 9.2 innings pitched, only 6 hits allowed, more earned runs in fewer innings, 5 earned runs, 6 walks. Whoa, 6 walks. And then 18 strikeouts, which is doing the heavy lifting there, and then 0 quality starts. And so I don't know if that's a win for me, a win for Worm, a tie. What do you think?
I mean, I guess I would go tie, and I'm not trying to play neutral. Like Sanchez, the fact that he pitched 14 and 2/3 innings versus 9 and 2/3 innings is, I mean, like that's the tiebreaker that I would give it to him. But Cease striking out 7 more guys. When we just got done talking about strikeouts being important, I guess like I feel like those two things equal each other out. So I would go with a tie, even though I should go with Worm since now I'm filling in for him and I should build a lead because I'm terrible at this game. But I'd go tie.
All right. I can get down with that. I can go tie. As long as you didn't pick Worm, you can keep your job.
Perfect.
All right. So for the current week, Worm has Casey Mize, and I have Jesus Luzardo. So hopefully I get good Jesus Luzardo and not bad Jesus Luzardo. And why don't you tell me who you have for this upcoming week?
And I would just like to make sure everyone understands we can't pick the same player twice. And I'm just like, I just come in here and then have to pick for whichever one of you I'm filling in for.
It's a bad
which means
week.
you've taken all the good players. Well,
you did take Shane Smith off the board very early, which, I
did. I just really wanted, I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, and obviously he burned Garrett Crochet, or that would have been my choice for this week. So,
I also burned Garrett Crochet. So neither one of us could use it.
Exactly. I'm like, all right. So I'm just looking at the 2 starts anyway. So I'm going to roll with Chris Paddack and see what happens, just because the rest of the list did not excite me, or Worm had already picked them. So
Yeah, it was a rough week looking through, because it was either like a bad pitcher or a bad matchup, and even like Logan Webb has the Padres and the Rays. I think we either one of us or both of us have used Logan Webb. Like Zevi Matthews is intriguing, but he gets the Yankees and the Tigers. Like I'm not messing around with that.
Right.
Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, he was my.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Matthews was my first pick, and then I saw the matchups, and I was like, I can't do it.
I did not pick Freddie Peralta, but I could have made the case for Freddie Peralta because he gets the Pirates and the Reds. Worm has already used Peralta. I have not. So that could have been my pick. Jose Soriano was like he's a cromulent pitcher who I considered, but his first matchup is the Dodgers. And even with the Dodgers being weird right now, I'm still not messing with that. So I ended up going with George Kirby in honor of Kelly Kirby joining the show. I'm going with George Kirby, her uncle. Or maybe nephew, if we're going reverse. Probably nephew.
And probably closer to nephew. Yeah. I would go with cousin. Like,
cousin? Yeah.
We're close enough.
Close enough. I'm going George Kirby at the Orioles and then at the Mets. So 2 road starts, not ideal. 4 road starts for us. 2 all road starts for us. How about that? Look at us. Paul Rudd. Look at us. Who would have thought?
Us. Yeah. Rolling the dice. Yeah.
All right, so hopefully I win the last 2 weeks because Worm is technically up in the standing 7-6 to 2 now, including that latest tie. Anything else before we wrap it up? You want to talk about Worm a little bit more? We can keep going if you want to do that.
No, I'm good. I'm good for now. I mean, otherwise we just get launched into the playoffs being so stupid early. But and we don't have time for that. So let's call it.
That's true. I have a kid coming home from kindergarten in 4 minutes, so but I made sure we went right up to when I have to leave.
Right up to it.
All right, well let's wrap it up there for Kelly Kirby. Here's my alarm to pick up my son. I think that made it on the last week's show too. I didn't.
Nice.
I'll have to go back and see if it was edited out, but my alarm also made an appearance last week's show, but Worm was talking that time. So I'll do it again. We'll see if it gets edited out, but maybe not. Maybe it'll stay in. For Kelly Kirby, I am Mike Maher. This has been The Cycle, and thank you for stopping by.